Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, we're in the middle of Indian summer.
Yes, we are.
And I drove over here on West Pennsylvania Avenue. And what did I see? Christmas wreaths up that were put up this week.
Yep.
So I'm at that stage of the season where I'm trying to pivot and adjust to the fact that we're in the holiday season.
It certainly does not feel like it outside.
It's crazy. Yeah, well, it's going to cool down next week.
I hope so.
Well, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to pivot today, and we're going to have everyone in the holiday season after our show. We have the Encore Center on with us. We have some of the actors and actresses, and we have company manager Becky Podlogar. We're going to be talking about their production of Miracle on 34th Street, which is going to air. It's going to be shown December 1st through the 3rd, and the weekend of December 8th through the 10th.
Nice.
By that time, Southern Pines downtown will be lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yes, it will.
The Christmas parade will have happened.
Yep.
So the timing is great. And Miracle on 34th Street is one of those iconic holiday movies that touches our heart like it was a Wonderful Life, the Jimmy Stewart movie. It won 3 Academy Awards in 1947. It's been redone as a radio show. It's been redone in a colorized version. Many actors and actresses that we know over the years have participated in the play or in the movie. What made you pick, Becky, Miracle on 34th Street?
Yeah, well, a few years ago we did A Christmas Story, and so that was a classic. And so then when we were looking for this year, we just decided that we wanted to do another one that was very familiar to everybody and very special. And it's one of my favorites, so we knew that we could get together a good group of actors to put this show on and just bring the spirit of Christmas to the Encore Center and to the community.
Natalie Wood played the lead role in the 1947 movie as she was the daughter. Tell us a little bit about, just Cliff Notes version, about Miracle on 34th Street, as for people who have not seen it.
Yeah. Gus, do you want to talk about that?
Oh,
That'd be
sure.
great.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know Miracle on 34th Street, basically you've got a gentleman who claims to be Santa Claus. And of course, he comes in the lives of several different individuals, mostly involved with the Macy's department store, some employees and a few specific family members, and just kind of turns their lives upside down for a few weeks, leading right up to Christmas Day.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really about the connections we have to other people and the connections we make with strangers and different themes that we'll talk about later. But yeah, it's a man who claims to be Santa Claus. Can this possibly be true?
So it's tugging at people's heartstrings and bringing back old-time sentimentality. And Gus, I didn't get a chance to introduce you, but you're the director.
Yes.
Of the you're from Raleigh.
Correct.
And you've already done 1 or 2 plays here before this one.
Yes, I did. I was an actor when we did the 39 Steps. In the early stages of the pandemic, we did an outdoors version out in the parking lot. It was fantastic.
Yes.
And then I directed last year's The Hound of the Baskervilles that we did.
Right. We're also being joined by Grace Stroud. And Grace, you're playing Doris Walker.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about Doris's character.
So Doris is very fun to play because she's a very complicated case. She has a lot of walls that she puts up. And throughout the play, it's very fun to see how different characters, specifically, Kris Kringle, the man who claims to be Santa,
Right.
Helps take those down, slowly deconstruct and, yeah.
So your role, Doris is how old in the play?
How old in the play?
Yeah.
That's an excellent
Roughly.
question. I would say probably like mid-30s.
Okay.
I was thinking somewhere in her 30s, most likely.
And you are no more than your mid to low early 20s.
I'm
Correct?
24, yes.
And you actually grew up in Aberdeen from the time you were 4 and went to O'Neill.
Yes.
And participated in their theater program.
Yes, I had loved theater ever since probably elementary, middle school,
Yeah.
but doing it in high school really solidified that love for it, and I knew that I wanted to continue to pursue it.
So when you were in high school, the Encore Center wasn't here.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that you would have the opportunity to do something on a local basis?
No, the majority of my theater work was just through school and like after school, like drama clubs and stuff like that. I didn't really learn about the Encore Center until I moved back here after college. And I got connected with the Arts Council, and they told me about the Encore Center and other community theater stuff happening. And I auditioned immediately.
And you're getting to meet a lot of the people that you didn't know who are all participating in the show. It's a big
Yeah.
cast, isn't it?
Yes, we have 22 in the cast.
And of the 22, how many are children?
Let's see, we have 10 children, I believe. I believe it's 10.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because and what's the age span between the kids?
Let's see, Aiden is our smallest. He's 8 or 9. And then Isabel is 16, 15, 16.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Our fourth guest is Mike Illse. Mike, the minute I saw you, I knew you were Kris Kringle. And you said you were purposely growing your beard.
Is that what gave it away?
It looks good. You have
Thank you.
you have 3 weeks. By then, I mean, I could never do that, but
Yeah.
it's going to look good.
Well, I hope it will anyway. And,
You're a transplant. You are not from here, but you have family who lives here.
yes, so I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas. Moved up here. Well, it's been a year now. I retired out of Corpus Christi. I have a daughter that lives here, a son-in-law, and 3 grandkids.
What did you do?
I was a police detective for that 31 years.
Really?
In internet crimes and human trafficking.
You look like a college professor to me.
Well, I appreciate that.
Oh
So,
my gosh! Really?
Yeah.
I would never have said that.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
31 years
Yes, sir.
of service.
Yes, sir.
And you moved here to be closer to your grandchildren.
Yes, we're retired here, living with our family.
It was a good move. What did you entertain the idea of local theater when you came here? Because you did it in Texas.
Well, I did do it in Texas. I was in several productions in a local theater we had there called the Harbor Playhouse. It's been around for 98 years. But we did it up here because I have 3 grandchildren that love the theater. They go to Stars School,
Oh yeah.
where my daughter teaches, and so Stars they just encourage theater, and so they've been going to Encore for several years now, and that's how I got involved.
Wow. How's the Becky? How is the chemistry amongst all the participants? This is a large cast.
It is
It's
a large cast.
A lot of work to do.
But they've all just fell right into place. Adults and kids alike, they've all just been working together. We blocked the whole first half of the show in 3 days. And now we're working this week to get the second half all blocked and ready. So all their movements on stage, getting all their props together and everything, we're getting all of it together. And we should have that set to by the end of the weekend, I would think.
The first show is 7:30 evening, Friday evening, December the 1st.
Yes.
And is there a matinee on the weekend?
On Saturdays we have shows at 2 and 7:30, and then on Sundays at 2.
So you're doing 4 shows each weekend?
4 shows each weekend.
8 shows.
Mm-hmm.
8 opportunities to.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's.
And
that's
we also
exhausting.
have 2 student matinees that we have some schools that are coming to us on 2 mornings.
Oh my
so,
gosh.
Yeah. So they actually are doing 10 shows.
Grace, you've performed already with the Encore Center, or you were working in costumes before?
Both.
Okay.
So the first show I was in was actually The Hound of the Baskervilles that Gus directed. I played Laura Lyons, and I also helped with costuming for that show.
Gus, why is it so exhausting when you no, I need to know, because I did one many years ago, and we only did 1 weekend, and I needed to check myself into the hospital. I was exhausted. Why is it so draining? It's mentally and physically draining when you're done.
The art of acting is controlling your body,
Yeah.
sometimes to go faster than you normally go, sometimes to go slower than you normally go. It's exhausting to go slow if you're a high energy person.
Right.
And it's mentally taxing, especially if your character has a big emotional journey that they go on. Because if you're an actor worth your salt, you take that journey, and your body doesn't know the difference. It thinks you're going through all this trauma, and it just needs time to recuperate. So yeah, it is very exhausting.
One of the things you're doing, you're partnering with Christmas for More,
Yes.
which is a great organization. And just this morning, I got an email from them. If I can find it, I want to read it to you.
Okay.
Because your timing is prophetic. And I should have pulled it up before I said that. They're looking for Christmas for More they're looking for volunteers. They have more families than they do donors.
Yes.
And they sent out a bullet point list, which I can't pull up right now. Here it is. Sponsors needed. Will you help a neighbor in need this Christmas? We have another record number of program participants who have registered this year, and we are in great need of sponsors for families with 5+ members. And what they do is you adopt the family and help them fill their gift list or with gift cards. It's a great organization that you decided. You always the Encore Center always seems to partner with an agency.
Yes, we last year, I believe it was, we started that. We just believe so much in being part of the community,
Right.
and we don't keep things just inside our walls. We want to be out in the community doing things, and so we, for the last 2 years, have partnered pretty much every show with a nonprofit in the area to bring awareness to them, help them with their needs that they have. In the past, we did partner with Christmas for More and had our patrons bring gifts and gift cards to the theater that we could then support their mission as well. And it's just great to be able to work together in the community to make all of our organizations work.
Yeah, it's not a small coincidence that we're doing a Christmas show today. We're talking about Christmas for More, and next week we're going to have Cliff Brown from Teamworks. I don't know if you're familiar with Teamworks. Well, they could be a future partner too. They work with the homeless people in Moore County, and I'm not just talking about northern Moore, but southern Moore as well. And they raise monies privately, and he's going to come on the following week, and we're going to air that show right before Thanksgiving, because we have a county of people who have and who have not, and you guys seem to always keep your eye on the ball for the people who have not, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
You won a whole list of awards again this year. It's boring to watch. You best of this, best of that, but why don't you, I don't have the list in front of me, but why don't you fill me in?
Yes, so this year we won Best of the Pines for Professional Theater Company and Community Amateur Performing Group and Dance Studio. And there was one more that I'm forgetting.
See? Okay, so you make me feel better. What I've had the privilege of doing a few shows and meeting some of the actors, and it's interesting because many of them, Bob, I'll direct this to you, got introduced to the Encore Center because either their child or their grandchild was enrolled in one of the programs. Is that how that happened for you?
Oh, that's exactly how it happened for me.
Amazing.
My family was already up here before I got here, and they were already involved in Encore. And the moment I stepped into Encore, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I've seen several productions there.
Yeah.
Not just because my children are in it, but it's just amazing productions that they put on.
Yeah.
And so I'm hooked with this place and just
Thank
love
you.
it. And I encourage if you've never been there,
Yeah.
that people just go there and.
So tell your grandchildren not to leave Moore County because you want to stay
No,
here.
They're not going to. They're here.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And his granddaughter's in the show.
Yeah,
Elizabeth?
yes, Elizabeth
Yes.
is my granddaughter.
And is she one of the children who? Tell me who Elizabeth plays.
So Elizabeth plays a little girl named Sharon, who is one of the children that comes up and That's Santa Claus Know What She Wants for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And she plays a couple other roles as well, but it's fun to work with her.
There are going to be 8 shows. The first one starts Friday evening, December the 1st. The Encore Center is located at 160 East New Hampshire Avenue, for those who don't know. The box office is 910-725-0603. You can go online to the EncoreCenter.net to get more information. Is it too early for ticket sales?
If they're on sale.
They're-
And they're
they're
selling.
on sale.
Yes. Yes.
Let's come back in the second set and talk more about the play, the story,
Sure.
because it's a heartwarming story, and we need heartwarming these days. So it was a good choice. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Kill a Mockingbird, too. We're back. Welcome back to the second set of All Things Moore County. The Encore Center is presenting Miracle on 34th Street the first 2 weekends in December to kick off the holiday season, because it's here. Regardless of the weather this week, it's going to change. There are going to be 8 shows for each weekend, and tickets can be purchased by calling the box office at 910-725-0603 or by going online at the EncoreCenter.net. This production is one where you have many more cast members than most, so the logistics are probably a little bit more challenging. But you want to create some Christmas magic for everybody.
Yes.
And I said at the end of the first set that your timing couldn't be better, because we need some good feelings and good spirit. Gus, the play is full of a lot of life lessons, underlying themes that resonate. They're universal, aren't they?
Sure, absolutely. One aspect of the whole core of the movie is this man who's claiming to be Santa Claus, and we're in our society today. It's come into question. Where people are having difficulty believing people who are who they say they are, and rather than
every day you go on social media,
right? Yeah, constantly, and and who knows best? Well, you would assume that the person themselves knows best. But yeah, that is one of the core themes of the film and the movie. And it seems unbelievable or unlikely that they would be who they say they are, well, then you're left to look at their actions, look at their life, and in this case with this Kris Kringle, who claims to be this impossible person, and you watch, well, he's going around bringing joy and happiness and gifts, and it's like, well, okay, if we're examining the life, it seems to be matching up, so that question of belief is pretty powerful.
And there's a part of the play where the legal system gets involved in this entire process. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, we've got on one side you've got supporters and people who believe and love the character, and on the other side, in the case of the movie, they've structured a particular doctor at Macy's who's kind of frustrated with Kris Kringle and is kind of really out to get him. They're kind of the driver. And I mean, this is a Christmas movie, and in some ways it's kind of parallel with the Christian story. When you look at, when Christ came and claimed to be who he said he was punished for it, and through legal technicalities, they were going to put him to death. And all the while, he was still trying to do good works. And it's a very close parallel to the Kris Kringle character in this story, who was, even while being persecuted and potentially being sent away, going through court, he's still working to try to do good things, which is, again, pretty powerful.
Bob, working with Gus, does he give you the road map to get to where you need to be, because you have to be in different places during the whole play?
He does, and does it well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For my first production here, it's a lot of it is just following direction.
Right.
And to what his vision is of what he wants it to come across to the audience.
Right.
I try to create my emotions of that Kris Kringle would have, and most of it is joy for everything. But there are times when Kris is down because of the unbelief that some have, and so
Right.
I have to go from emotion to emotion in that. But
Yeah.
Gus does very well with his direction, which I try to follow to the letter as I can,
Right.
and try to remember each one of those directions every time. As you get older, it's a little more.
Well,
difficult.
you'll have 8 shows to perfect it.
So
Yes.
I'll have.
Absolutely.
I'll have
Right.
it down. I better have it down before December 1st.
Grace, what about you? Working with Gus, what is it like?
It's always very fun. I guess like you said, he puts out the map, puts out the guidelines, especially with the blocking
Yeah.
and everything with that. It gives a very good he gives a very good structure for the actors to play within, especially once we get all of the blocking and everyone's finally off script and you have your hands free. That's kind of my favorite part of the process, because that's when you can really step into the character and really play, and we get those little mini character workshops when we go from scene to scene. That's when my love for it is in the details of it.
She
Yeah.
speaks like an old soul. So are you at Becky, are you at the place right now where you're all sitting around a table reading the parts? No.
No,
You're past that.
They were past that. Yeah, that was first night, and then since first night, we've been up on our feet, and everybody, doing everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
My memory was I dragged the whole process for days. Oh my God! So only one day of reading, and every time you would read a line, he would stop you and say, "No, this is what I want you to do, or this is how I want you to feel." Is that how? She's looking at me
This
like,
how our read-throughs are? No.
Yeah, every director goes through the rehearsal process differently.
Yeah.
Some of them would start maybe organically like that, more concerned with how the play sounds and the intention beneath the lines coming out.
Right.
Other directors, and one of the things I do is say, let's get the framework in place. Let's put all the blocking down, the movement. So you're going to come in from this side, you're going to move down to the chair. On this line, you're going to come down here, all that. And in a lot of cases, that's the actor's biggest frustration. A lot of actors, when we start scenes, I don't know where to go. Where do you want me to be?
Right.
And some directors will just let them play and let them flounder. Where would you naturally walk if you were in a hurry? Would you go to this side? Or they let the actor decide. Some directors have a very clear picture. This is what I want the play to look like. Right. So they're going to come ahead and tell all the actors where they're going to go. So that's kind of how we've been working. And so by the end of this week, that will be fully in place. So everyone knows where they go, where they're supposed to be on this line, when they sit, when they stand. And then we will move to that line intention and the meaning behind it. And we'll move into all those acting details.
And then you have the children to direct it, which is a completely different conversation, right?
It is and it isn't.
Okay.
Obviously, we've got a little more awareness and a little more, we're a lot more gentle or forgiving with our younger actors, but they're there to learn and grow as well. Mm-hmm. And theater kids are used to more structure, either because they've been in other plays and they've had rehearsals, or they're taking acting classes or summer camps, and they're getting used to be told in a large group, all right, you need to be quiet. This is your time to be quiet. And then when we get on stage, this is your time to let it loose. And we treat them like little adults, They have their own responsibilities. Some of them will be in charge of moving set pieces as well.
Right.
But they're there to learn and grow as well, yeah.
Becky, this sounds like this one is especially enjoyable.
It is, yes.
You had, I don't know how many productions you've done, and I know you don't rest a whole lot in between them.
No.
But this is intense for 3 to 4 weeks, right?
It is.
And your nerves are up here until you realize how good the show was, and then you can enjoy it a little bit.
Sure. It works that way. I pretty much stay here all the time, but
She's a good leader, isn't she?
there are
Yes.
I mean, really. She
trying
is.
to get 22 people's schedules to all fit into our rehearsal time
You must be in heaven.
is a fun puzzle. Let me just tell you, it's a fun
Don't
puzzle.
you feel like when she chases you down the hall, where were you? You need to be here at a certain time, right? You like you're a little kid. You did something wrong. This is December.
Yes.
What is happening at the turn of the year? What are we looking for at the Encore Center as we turn into 2024?
Yes. So the weekend after
Weekend
this show, we have a performance of the Nutcracker by our studio students. So we are looking forward to that. We're already prepping for that. And then starting in January, the very first week of January, we start rehearsals with our production camp, our youth production camp of High School Musical Junior. And that's in January. And then we will go into our next main stage show of Don't Dress for Dinner, which Gus is also directing. So
Oh, great.
in February. So, yeah.
Are you from Raleigh? Is that
Yes.
You are. So you have now a connection here.
Yes, I do.
You'll be up and down Highway 1 a lot in the next couple of months.
Absolutely. I'm gonna might as well donate to clean up a certain portion of the road and claim it as my own.
You mentioned something at the break that in addition to the 8 shows, you're going to do a matinee for students.
Yes, we had reached out to schools and homeschool groups and some schools a while back, and we've already got those booked, and they filled up really quickly. So it's great to be able to offer some students to come that may not have the opportunity to come out on a weekend
What
to
age?
see
What
the
grades
show.
are you talking
I'm not exactly sure which schools are coming. Carly takes care of all of that, but all ages, I believe she has booked for this one.
We're just a few short weeks away. Miracle on 34th Street is one of the most iconic Christmas movies, and for people who are fans of Christmas movies or people who are fans of feeling good and getting into the spirit, this would be a great way to spend either the first or second weekend of December.
Yes.
Wish you guys all the best of luck. It was a pleasure to meet you, Grace, Gus, Bob.
Mike.
Why do I call you? Forgive me.
It's that college professor Bob, I guess.
I've done that, and you haven't corrected
Well,
me.
that's all.
Mike, I am. My apologies.
Santa Claus goes by many different names.
That's right.
You're
That's
right. That was a good comeback.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Best of luck. The Encore Center is one of the. We're 5 years old now, or almost 6 years old.
This is our 5th season. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yes.
It's become a very integral part of the downtown Southern Pines area, and more and more people are discovering it. And I hope they get out, and I hope you have parents with kids at the production.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll be right back. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our third and final set. We are switching gears here, and we are going to talk this set with a very trusted local lender that I've had a great relationship with over the years, Laura Kurtz. She's with Acopia, and in this quirky real estate market that we are living in and have been living in since June, maybe May, June, with higher interest rates, it's affected demand. There are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to come down, and we don't think you're Nostradamus, but there are, buyers are just, it's heartbreaking what's going on, because when they were pre-qualified, let's say 6 months ago, to buy a home for X dollars, today that pre-qualification would probably be less because the interest rates are higher.
Correct.
And you could be just a full-time counselor, which you are anyway, and so there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines right now. What do you tell them when you talk to them? How do you coach them?
The most important thing, and you hear this going on a lot in the market now, is you marry the house, you date the rate.
Yeah.
It sounds flippant, but it's really true. People typically stay in their same mortgage at about 5 years on average. So it's a temporary situation, and we don't know what the rates are going to do, but all the experts, and that's in quotes, assume that it's going to come down in the next 12 to 24 months, and probably not until after the first quarter of next year. But again, like you said, I really don't know.
Yeah.
The crystal balls don't work.
People ask me, and I say the same thing. I want people to, we talk about them refinancing when it comes to that. But then, of course, they have a conversation about what's the cost to do it. But I'm starting to notice a lot of sellers now are offering incentives to help pay the rate down. And can you explain what that exactly is? Some first-time buyers especially would want to know in
Yes.
new construction.
It's called a temporary buy down.
Right.
And there's many versions of it, but it typically will buy down their rate for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years is the typical options. It's usually paid for by the seller.
Right.
Every now and then the lender can pay for it. It just really depends on the scenario because there's rules involved in that. But it gives the buyer a bit of a buffer so that first, second, and third, if they do the 3 year, their mortgage payment is bought down by a certain amount, which is based on a percentage. The money's collected from the seller at closing and put into an escrow account. So then the payments are basically augmented using that escrow account, so the buyer feels less of that pressure when they first go into that mortgage.
And the betting line is that they're hoping after 2 or 3 years they can refinance permanently.
Correct.
And not have to go up to the level that they were going to have when they purchased the home without doing the buy down.
Correct. And a good responsible lender would look at the difference between a temporary rate buy down cost and the discount point cost. And it depends on the way the market is being priced at the moment. That's what we lenders talk about when we talk rate, points, buy down. And it's advantageous to look at all the options to make an informed decision.
Yeah. We're noticing in our market right now something that you and I talked about a couple of years ago, which was not happening very much because the interest rate environment was so friendly. Sellers are saying you can buy our house, my seller's house, and assume their VA loan, which was at a lower rate than it would be today. I'm starting to see that more and more.
Yes, I've noticed that in a lot of listings as well.
Problem is, we really haven't experienced that here in any sort of consistent way in the last 20 years.
No.
Now, all of a sudden. So what are the most important things that a buyer needs to understand, and a seller and their broker, to make that happen?
The most important things that a buyer and all parties need to understand is the timeline is unpredictable.
Right.
You are not dealing with a representative of the servicing company of that seller's current loan. You're dealing with the escrow department in most cases, which also fills the need of the assumptions department. So it's not usually the salesperson with an incentive to get the loan closed effectively with proper assistance and with timelines involved.
So the buyer has to be flexible as to the closing date.
Very flexible.
Have
yes.
you had situations where it's extended beyond what most people would think would be a reasonable time?
Yes, and my history was back. I used to handle the loan assumptions back when I was a paralegal in my prior career, so I have extreme experience with this, and it's normally anywhere from 90 to 180 days is what I saw in the turn times on those.
Is it getting quicker?
I don't know, but I have not heard that it is, and I really haven't heard much of people actually doing it. It's more of an advertisement to have a buyer look at a property.
Can you give me the mechanics of it? Let's say there's a house on the market for $300,000. Let's just use that number, and the seller says the buyer can assume my VA mortgage. So, does it matter what the mortgage amount is? How does that break that down for me?
So what typically would happen is the seller would contact their current lender,
Right.
ask for an assumption package.
Right.
A package would be sent to the seller and a separate one to the buyer. The buyer applies for the loan, and they have to be qualified through their underwriting process at the seller's current lender.
Okay.
So there's that part. But they also have to have a real estate agent or a licensed attorney prepare the contract.
Right.
Then there's the question of, is there equity in the property? there's equity in the property. The buyer needs to bring that equity to closing. So that's usually where the hang up lies.
So that is a hang up because a lot of the VA buyers are used to doing 100% financing or
Correct.
wanting to, but you can't do that when there's a loan assumption.
Correct. And there's been such an increase in the value of properties over the past couple of years. Those two things together, you have to have a buyer that's got significant assets to really make a loan assumption work, unless the seller is willing to just forego receiving their equity.
What has your experience been, what the seller does? I can't imagine that.
The buyer gets a new loan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, what's heartbreaking about this market is that there's still a lot of activity, you know, over 600,000-700,000. There's cash purchases, properties are moving. The people that are getting hurt the most are the people that they need the homes the most, the young families, the military families.
Yes.
And there's a shortage right now of properties between 300,000 and 400,000 in Moore County. You work out of Southern Pines, you work out of Fayetteville, you work all over the state. But you're probably also finding a lot of people are moving to Hope County.
Yes.
Because on a per square foot basis, there are more better prices per square foot. But isn't that another reason why new construction is so popular right now? Because the sellers are offering, the builders are offering incentives.
Yes. And the builders in the recent past with the pandemic, they suffered for a couple of years. There wasn't much going on there, so they're making up for lost time. So they're working really hard to increase the inventory for themselves, which is in turn helping our market.
You are spending next week, actually you're going to be going around speaking to a lot of brokers in the real estate community about the assumable VA.
Yes.
Because you feel there's a need to, because there's no syllabus that we have. There are no guidelines how to proceed, and yet we start seeing it pop up. And one of the things I find is that a lot of these young buyers, they're being asked to pay top dollar for these homes. If they sense or feel like in any shape or form they're being taken advantage of, I mean, there's anger out there. There's frustration out there. And rents have gone up as well. Even though they've started to come down a little bit, we have to be very sensitive to how difficult it is for the first-time buyers to come into this market and find a home. What I like the most about you is you tell people exactly the way it is, and you've been up in situations where you can offer a loan at a rate with certain points, and if a builder can offer something that may be better for them or that you can't compete with, you'll tell them. But
absolutely.
But normally you can, but I always tell people that they need to speak to you because you're a counselor, you're not a seller. And there's so many people today who are in this quiet market, they're trying to oversell. And you once referred to it as the bait and switch.
Oh, yes.
And people want to believe what they hear if it's good news, but that doesn't always mean that they can get to closing with those broad parameters that are painted at the beginning of the loan process.
Exactly. That happens all too much.
Right? Don't I sound like I've been in this business too long?
Yes.
just a couple of too many decades. But we try to educate our buyers to work locally. And some of them will, some of them won't. And we do our very best because it means something in our local market who the lender is. And you have a reputation amongst many of the different real estate companies, and I know you work with a lot of the top brokers, but you don't need to work with every broker.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
You cultivate, what is it, quality, not quantity.
Absolutely.
Right? You're going to be based, Acopia is going to be based where?
They are based, their home office is in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
But my office is here in Southern Pines. And there's another office that we've got in Fayetteville, and there's some across the state.
I wanted you to come on prior to you speaking next week. If people had questions about assumable VA loans, where can they reach you?
At my phone number, 850-7194.
And your
My
email?
email address is LKurtz at acopiahomeloans.com. Or if they forget that, they can always email me at lauraloveslending@gmail.com.
Okay, you're faster than I am. I like LKurtz. You've been in the business long enough to have a perspective, but I don't think we've ever seen this. This takes us back to 2008 in some ways, but today it's fueled more by the higher rates and
Yes.
higher prices, which have just been crazy.
Yes, which created a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear out there right now.
Yeah. And I have a feeling people are just going to, it's a political year coming up. There's a lot at play. So your calmness and your experience is what we try to put our buyers in front of, rather than that lending company in Missoula, Montana, that has an 800 number, and we don't know who the heck they're talking to or what they're getting.
Exactly.
Because when they get quoted something, it's not anything that's locked in without a contract. Anyway, we will see you down the road. It's going to be a curvy road here in the next couple of months, but and we'll look forward to seeing you next week at our
Thank you.
company meeting.
Thank you.
Laura, it's good to see you.
Same here.
Dorothy, we will see you next week. It's a busy month coming up, and I want everyone to have a good week. Thank you.